Alabama players' reaction to CFP loss played a role in Nick Saban's retirement decision. For those of you who haven't heard, Nick Saban has actually retired. Kalen DeBoer is now the head coach over there at the Crimson Tide.
Just in case anyone's living under a rock.
Right, after losing the national championship to Michigan, Nick Saban, after losing the championship to Michigan, Kalen DeBoer took the job at Alabama because that's what you want to do is hire a coach who lost.
Hey, he lost in the national championship. Get
off. I know.
All right.
Kalen DeBoer is a fantastic coach. I'm just kidding. Jeez.
Let's not get crazy here.
But he did exit before Washington could play in the Big Ten.
Oh,
just
yeah.
That out there.
That's true. That sucks.
That is true.
Yeah.
So there's when Nick Saban retired, there was speculation as to why. Of course, you had a lot of Michigan fans saying, "Oh, Michigan retired Nick Saban," and Nick Saban retired because of all the changes going on. Well, eventually, and this came out March 6th, just 4 days ago, that the real reason Nick Saban retired, or at least part of the reason, is because of how his players reacted to the loss to Michigan at the Rose Bowl. So this article by Dan Lyons from, I think it's actually it's from Sports Illustrated. He says Nick Saban's decision to retire as Alabama's football coach didn't come as a major surprise to athletic director Greg Byrne. Saban had hinted that the end was near following the 2022 season, spurring Byrne to start preparing for that eventuality.
The end is near.
That preparation would culminate in Alabama's hiring of Washington's Kalen DeBoer, fresh off a college football appearance. And I highlighted that because I just think that's funny.
Why?
It's my sarcastic nature because they can't say he won the national championship. They can say he was there. Didn't win.
Yeah, but he did.
Again, I understand. It's a big deal to get there. Yes. I just think it's funny. It's that Jerry Seinfeld joke. The silver medal joke. Out of all the winners, congratulations. Out of all the winners, or all of the losers, you're the best one.
You're the best one. No one lost better than you.
To replace perhaps the greatest coach in college football history, which some people are disagreeing with that also. I don't know. I still think Nick Saban deserves that honor. If he's not the best, he's in the top 3 for sure. Let's see. Saban says this wasn't the reason for his retirement, but he was unhappy with how his team reacted to the 27-20 defeat in the Rose Bowl. He said, "I want to be clear, that wasn't the reason, but some of those events certainly contributed. I was really disappointed in the way that the players acted after the game. You got to win with class. You got to lose with class. We had our opportunities to win the game, and we didn't do it." And then showing and I don't know if he stumbled or if they're editing that out, but I mean, at Sports Illustrated, they've had a lot worse than what I assume that word is.
Yeah.
And being frustrated and throwing helmets and doing that stuff, that's not who we are and what we've promoted in our program. So we had some players with a really bad attitude, apparently, after the game ended.
That kind of sucks, though. Like, I don't know. Basically, it feels to me like what he's saying is basically like, I recognize that I've lost control of my team, so I'm just going to quit now rather than try and go out on a high note. Like the game has changed. He wants out because the game has changed. Totally understand that. He said at one point, like, the way that they did things wasn't working anymore, and that's fine. I understand. But I don't know. This just kind of feels like he's, I don't know. Maybe I'm being too hard on it because I don't know, because he's such a good coach. So
yeah.
Well,
the article goes on. In meeting with players after the season, Saban said he estimates that 70 to 80% wanted playing time and NIL assurances, furthering the idea that it was time for him to hang up his whistle. He also cited the constant churn of assistant coaches as a contributing factor.
Yeah.
Which I didn't realize. I didn't realize that there was a revolving door of assistant coaches at Alabama.
Well, yeah, he was basically nicknamed the Nick Saban coaching. Oh crap! What was it? The Nick Saban coaching
carousel
clinic. The Nick Saban coaching clinic. You'd go there to get your career rehabilitated. That's what happened with the guy coaching Ole Miss right now. crap, why is everybody's name is just gone from my head right now? Ole Miss head coach. But yeah, I mean, that was Kirby
Lane
Smart,
Kiffin?
Lane Kiffin. Yeah, Lane Kiffin came from he coached under Alabama or under Nick Saban for a few seasons. I think Dabo Sweeney actually did for a little bit too.
Okay.
Kirby Smart obviously coached under Nick Saban for a little bit. I mean, there are a lot of really good coaches that are coaching right now that come from the Nick Saban line. So I get it. Like but that was the problem, is that his coaches were doing so well at Alabama because they were such a well-oiled machine that they would only last 1 or 2 seasons before they would get a job somewhere else. So it seemed like every couple of years they had a new offensive or defensive coordinator.
Right.
Yeah.
So the article goes on. So I'm saying to myself, maybe this doesn't work anymore, that the goals and aspirations are just different, and that it's all about how much money can I make as a college player. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that's never been what we were all about. And it's not why we had success through the years.
It's bad.
Well, okay. So this is where, and you know, I love Nick Saban. But this is where I kind of think this feels a little hypocritical.
Okay.
Because you've got Nick Saban is I think he was the highest paid coach in college football.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So he certainly, just like we experienced with Harbaugh, contract negotiations and renegotiations and hiring agents to figure this out and that out. I can only imagine Nick Saban had the same thing. Nick Saban surely has agents because he does commercials. So he's got agents. He's renegotiating contracts. He's looking for more money or more benefits or what have you. It feels hypocritical because it's like he's pulling in tens of millions of dollars a year. Now the players are getting some of that action. And he's like, no, this is not what we're all about.
Well, they didn't do it right. Because like it's like you've said on past shows, you got to go for the right players, not the best ones.
Right.
And I don't know, I guess I'm just going to use Michigan as an example. They came up with the 1 more year fund. So they're keeping their players in school from going to the NFL because like the kids are saying, "Oh, I can go to the NFL and make some money, or I can stay at Michigan, play 1 more year, make some money there." But they're doing it from the standpoint of you need to earn that NIL. Like if you come to Michigan, you're not going to get NIL right off the bat. You need to earn it. And that has, up to this point so far, created a locker room of players who play for each other and want to earn that respect and earn that reward. At Alabama and Georgia and a lot of the other schools, not necessarily SEC exclusive, they've developed locker rooms where the players are way more concerned about getting their NIL than they are about playing for each other, about playing football. And I mean, I guess, I don't know. I'm trying to think of another team that's done it right, like Michigan. And I'm not saying that Michigan has the perfect NIL system. I'm just saying the way it felt like they were trying to do it seems like a good way because they have to earn it. They have to earn their NIL. But Michigan is also way behind the times in NIL too. They don't have a very good NIL program, period. But again, that just further exemplifies like you need the right players, not the best players. The players that are willing to play as a team are the ones that are going to win championships. The all-stars that want their spotlight are the ones that are going to, stay for 3 years maybe and then go to the NFL and do whatever.
But now, what if? Okay, here's kind of the way I see it. This NIL is going to be a mess. It's been a mess this past year. It's going to be a mess for, I don't know, a couple of more years, let's say.
Yeah.
As the player, it's a lot like, I want to say it's, if you compare it to getting something as a kid, you get that gift at Christmas. That's the one you've been waiting for and you're super excited about it. And you play with it like crazy for the first couple of days. And then you sort of settle into it. And if it's a good gift, that gift that you were super excited about at the beginning, it sort of works into your routine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're not super excited about it anymore, but you're still thankful to have it and you still use it, play with it. what if NIL is the same kind of thing? You've got these teenagers, young 20s, all of a sudden now they have this opportunity to make tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even $1 million. And that is super exciting. And it's driving them all crazy right now. But let's say the initial group gets through, and now you've got players. Let's say you've got guys who are like right now coming into being freshmen in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And so in 4 years, they're now they're freshmen in college and they're starting to play the college game. And by then it's all sort of smoothed out. And it's not it's not this chaotic mess that we have right now. And maybe at that point, players are used to it because they've been taught how to handle it. I feel like Nick Saban could have been that coach that could have trained the players or showed the players how to do that. I actually think the same thing of Harbaugh. That's one of the other reasons I wish Harbaugh would have stayed at Michigan, because I think he would have been able to help his players through the NIL process. Nick Saban being the great coach that he is, the mature guy that he is, the seasoned guy that he is, could have helped his players through this process. He knows what it's like to have that kind of money. So it's kind of a long explanation to just say he could have been there to help them through the process and then retired. He's also, setting aside the fact that he's probably of age retirement and maybe was going to retire anyway, just because he wanted to retire.
Right.
But it's the whole idea of placing the blame on the players that, we're not that kind of team. Well, he could have coached them in the NIL too, just like he does on the field.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think that's kind of, I think that there's also something to be said for the NCAA not having proper guidelines on this too, though. Because like the NIL is the Wild West right now. And Nick Saban might be sitting there thinking like, I need to figure out a way to coach my players to deal with NIL better. But even the coaches and the athletic directors don't know how to deal with NIL. Because there's essentially no rules on it until all of a sudden the NCAA decides they're going to investigate you for rule breaking. What is that rule? Well, we just made it up. Okay. So what are you supposed to do then, So Nick Saban's probably like, I don't know how to coach the kids up because I don't know what rules to coach by. So is he supposed to say like, oh, let's go and try and figure out a way to get you 7 figures? Or is he supposed to say, let's just get you something and then try and earn the rest of it or play? I don't know. What is he supposed to say, I guess?
Right.
Is the thing. But I think that once these kids get out of high school and once they get to the college level, they've already had probably 2 years. In the last 2 years of high school, these recruits are being told, you're amazing. You're holy crap. This is, you are going to make so much money in college from NIL deals and stuff like that. And so they've had that throughout the junior and senior of high school recruiting cycle where the media, everyone is hyping them up. They've got, the 5 stars next to their name. They've got the 90+ grade and all that. And they're thinking they're some hot stuff. So they're going to be able to go to college and make all of this money. And when they get to college, if Nick Saban's the guy to say like, no, you're going to earn it, then that kid's just going to bolt for the next coach who says like, come here and we'll make sure you get those 7 figures you were promised.
Yeah,
so
I guess
what's Saban supposed to do? Right.
There's only so much you can do. There's only so much you can control.
Yeah.
And that's the chaos of the NIL right now. And that's what Saban has said. That's what PJ Fleck has said. Who is well, anyway, a couple of coaches have said that too, that they've created a mess now where they've introduced this and they, like you said, they haven't really regulated it properly. And so unfortunately schools like Minnesota are going to develop players for a couple of years. And if they make a player, if they get a player noticed, then all of a sudden Michigan, Ohio State, whoever, Notre Dame is going to start saying, "Oh, that guy looks pretty good. Yeah, let's throw some money at him."
Yeah. Well, Nick Saban. So I think that in Nick Saban's case, all he would have needed to do is change how he recruited. start going for players of high character, not the ones that immediately ask about money.
Right.
And I don't know if Jim Harbaugh was necessarily trying to do that, but it seems to be that that's what happened. Harbaugh got a team with a bunch of high character players, and they won him a national championship.
Right. Yeah. You had Blake Corum giving a significant amount of his NIL money to charity.
Yeah.
McCarthy actually was giving his money to, or not all of his money, but was actually giving money to other players on the team.
Yeah. That's sweet.
What was it? I think he was sharing the money with the entire O-line.
Yeah.
And saying because they were protecting him, it was literally protection money.
That's pretty great. Man, I'm going to miss him. I wanted one more year with him.
Yep.
Sam Hartman's looking downfield for Adrian.
Barter almost has a one-handed catch.
Almost.